Hello gamers, it is I, BlueDream47, coming back at you with another Hot Takes video. Now, if you play DBD, you are surely no stranger to the fact that people really like to talk without really understanding what they're talking about. So yeah, we have a bunch of hot takes here. I'm going to be reacting to all of these and giving my insight. Now, I'd like to make it known that the purpose of these videos is not to shame or like bash anybody. It is purely just to educate the player base. So hopefully some of you guys don't go walking around with some of these really bad takes. All of these were sent by my friend Amy, so shouts out to Amy. But yeah, let's get right into it. So here we go. The first hot take that we have today, and I had to start with this one, was by this absolute goober on X. It was on x.com, and this goober had to say, hot take. If you run Pain Res, Pop, Grim Embrace, End, Slash, or Surge in a majority of your games, you are the biggest cringe lord piss baby, and not a soul enjoys playing the game with you. Consider the reason why people tell you to unalive yourself in the post-game chat all the time. Holy moly. So, like, there is a lot to unpack with this one. First of all, people can run whatever the fuck they want. People can run any number of perks. That is totally okay. You're never really, like, valid for just shaming people for what they run. You know, people can run anything they want. You know, if someone wants to run the weakest perks in the game, great. If someone wants to run the strongest perks in the game, great. I feel like you should really just expect players, like killers or survivors, to just run the strongest stuff, because it's the strongest stuff. You know, it's there for a reason. It's the strongest stuff for a reason. Gen rushing is really problematic in DBD. You have one chase that lasts more than 60 seconds. Like, you're losing 3 gens, right? Like, it's just how it is. So I don't know why the fuck people still have like this kind of take, you know, like calling him a cringe lord piss baby, like just for running slowdown. Like, that's pretty wild. It's fine if you say that you don't enjoy it, sure, but like, you're calling people names like that. But the real kicker is to say that, to bring justification to telling somebody to unalive themselves. This person on the post got absolutely ratioed so hard. There is never any reason to tell somebody to unalive themselves over a video game. You are never, ever, ever, ever valid for that, and you're just a disgusting person if you ever say something like that. Yeah, that's just wild. Come on, man. Like, you should really just expect killers to run slowdown. Like, that's just how it is. I like, there's not even much I can say other than just don't be this guy. You know, like, just don't be this dude in particular, please. God, it's fine to say that you don't like something, sure, but if you're going this extra mile, I don't know. I don't think anybody's gonna like you. So, yeah, just a big fat L take. The next one we have is from somebody on the Facebook forums, and they are saying, "Why are Ks so unintelligent? Like, genuinely, I see so many get offended by teabagging, but every server I ever met played with uses crouching as a way of communication friendliness, not teabagging. Like, you teabag at K to see if he's friendly. He does nothing, so you teabag from happiness. Even randoms get the memo. I guess Ks don't." I guess this person just hasn't been playing the game for very long. Very rarely, like more often than not, crouching, like teabagging the killer is just, it's meant to just be like, hey, fuck you, chase me, right? Like 90% of the time, it is just used as like an insult to the killer. You know, the survivor pre-drops a pallet and just starts bagging. And like sometimes it's used tactically, like sometimes the survivor just wants the killer to commit. Like I do that sometimes as a survivor, because it does sometimes work, right? Like it does work. Very, very rarely is it used or interpreted as friendliness. Very rarely, almost always, it is just like a giant middle finger to the killer. I guess this person just doesn't really play a lot of killer. That's fine if that's the way that you teabag, but it's just a little bit of understanding that 90% of the time it is seen as offensive towards the killer. Probably help them. I don't really get offended by teabagging myself, but it's very obvious when it's like kind of used in a friendly way and when it's used in a not friendly way, and 90% of the time it's very obviously like a big middle finger. So yeah, I don't know. The next one we have here is this is a big essay that somebody just dropped on the forum, so let's dive right into this one. Hey, you, all killers who are extremely loving to Mori other players. Have you ever considered a visit to a psychiatrist just to make sure you are okay in your head? Do you get some kind of satisfaction knowing you can Mori another player just because you know there is a real person behind the character? I'm just wondering why you love it so much. You don't get more blood points finishing the game super fast with Moris. I'm just wondering then why? Maybe you have been bullied at school and now you get that satisfaction by virtually bullying other people because you know you are such a coward in real life. just really just down in the weeds with these assumptions. Mori is gross, and I don't know why they put it in this game. I know games where you can Mori others, but there are no real people behind those games. If you like it so much in a game, maybe deep inside you feel really little and worthless. This is a game. You are actually not a killer in real life. Just a little person holding your mouse or remote in your hands and playing tough behind your PC or PlayStation. Come down from your cloud and start thinking, is this okay? Or go and get your mental health checked before it is too late. And maybe you start loving these kinds of things a little too much, ... thinking emoji. Oh man. Where do we even begin with that? So this is something that I find a lot of the survivor main community does, as well as killers. Killer players do this too, but a lot of people make this massive assumption about people based on the way that they play. And I think this is just a very unhealthy mindset for you to just make wild assumptions just because somebody played a certain way, or in this case Mori, brought a Mori. Just assuming that anybody who Moris anybody is just sick in the head, they're just so disgusting and they were bullied in school. I think that this is just a wild misdirection of anger. You could be placing your anger and getting this out in a much healthier way rather than just automatically assuming, oh, they're such a coward in real life. You were bullied in school, so you bully online. This isn't healthy, right? This is in wildly illogical, and you're just kind of creating this I don't know, perpetual hate over a very simple mechanic in the game. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say about that. It's you're saying that these people need help, but it's if you're going to this level over the game, to really write this whole essay based on just a Mori, just a Mori, then Yeah, maybe it might be time to like take your own advice, talk to somebody, or maybe just put down the game or something. Like that's like this is wild. This is wild. That's not good. That's not good. So this one was I think this was also on Twitter. This was sent to me, and this person says they were replying to a post that says, I hate Artist because she just presses an ability to make loops useless, unlike my favorite killer, the Huntress. And then they replied talking about Singularity. And they said, Singularity means crying about balance. I guess the poster is a Singularity meme. Go back to playing your brain dead autopilot killer, boo. Now, holy shit, this is insane. Like, this is wild. This is like just delusion on like a maximum level. To call Singularity an autopilot killer has to be one of the most like insane things I've ever heard. If you think Singularity is autopilot, have you tried them? Have you played them at all? Because Singularity requires like probably the most game sense out of any killer. He requires a ton of map knowledge, a ton of like strategy, coordination, just everything. Like it's you really like, he is probably the worst killer to start with in the entire game. Like if you just start playing Singularity, you're gonna have a bad time, because like you need experience. Like you need experience as a killer to just jump into Singularity. He is very difficult. He is not easy at all. I really feel like this is like a survivor who runs like windows of opportunity and like life and stuff, and just like runs to yellow and pre-dropped. Like I don't know, but that is just so insane. Like that is absolutely ridiculous to call Singularity an autopilot killer. If there was any killer in the game that was pretty autopilot, I would say something like Skull Merchant. Maybe like Skull Merchant is pretty autopilot. Like it's just kind of like walk around, place drones, and but even then, like she's not really. Like I think Survivor is pretty autopilot in a lot of senses, like way more than Singularity, that's for sure. Anyway, yeah, that's a wild one. That's just another insane take. Again, if you're ever calling a killer autopilot but you don't play them, and there is a 90% chance this person does not play Singularity, like please, for the love of God, like just play that killer, and you will, your mind will expand. You will see the world for what it truly is. Yeah, here's another piping hot, steaming hot, fresh out the oven take from somebody on, this is a YouTube comment. I don't find aura reading Huntress to be impressive or fun at all. It's fun when it's based in skill, prediction, and patience, not a bright red target. So this is wild. This is again just another person who very clearly doesn't really play Huntress. Like definitely not. Huntress, like it does help a lot. There are Huntresses who can literally throw a hatchet all the way into the air, and by the curvature of the hatchet, it goes into the like stratosphere and comes back down and lands on your head. There are Huntress players who, with aura reading, can do the same thing, throwing a hatchet all the way into the fucking stratosphere, and it goes, and then while that hatchet is soaring through the air and landing down on their head, they throw one straight, so the one going into the fucking sky comes and it hits you, and then the one going straight hits you. I've seen it. It is one of the most impressive things in DBD, and it does require aura reading usually to do these things, like orbitals. It does require aura reading. It is by far one of the most impressive things to ever do in Dead by Daylight. Like if you try to do this, you will have a miserable time. It is really hard. I've tried to land orbitals and stuff like that with it's really hard. It is very impressive. So yeah, I don't know. This is another situation where it's like, okay, if you don't find it impressive, like cool, but if you're saying that it's not skilled, you really need to try and do it. Like if this person were to just hop on Huntress with a full aura reading build and try and land some orbitals, I guarantee you that they would have a very difficult time. It is very skill based. and very impressive as well. Like if you don't believe me, check out Coconut. Like Coconut is insane, and he runs aura reading, right? Like landing cross maps and stuff like that. All right, next up we have someone from the Facebook forums that says, why does Iron Grasp exist if Boilover exists? Make it make sense behavior. What do you mean? Why does Iron Grasp exist if Boilover exists? Iron Grasp existed before Boilover. Iron Grasp, I believe, is... Who's that? Trapper? I think it's Trapper's perk, right? It's just a decent perk in general. Boilover got buffed, like, so much. Iron Grasp, like, is a very minimal counter to Boilover, because if you like fully utilize Boilover and like let's say you have flip-flop and you go down in like a very kind of high up spot where there's no hooks and stuff, like Crotus Pren Asylum or Disturbed Wards, like the old RPD library, there's lots of spots that you can do this. Even with Iron Grasp, like it's really hard to like get a hook, right? So like Boilover is just, it's a very strong perk. When they first buffed Boilover, it was ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know. It's talking about like, why does this perk exist? Like it's a healthy thing when you have a strong perk to have a perk in the game that counters that perk, right? This has been a thing in DBD for a long time. Adrenaline is a very strong perk. Noed counters adrenaline, right? Like it's just good to have things that counter certain things. This is a healthy aspect, right? It's a healthy aspect because, you know, sometimes you'll load in and you won't have any perks that counter their perks. Sometimes you do, and you're really glad that you had those perks, right? Like this is, it's just a healthy kind of thing, a healthy dynamic for a game that is very, very, very perk based. This is a very average take that you see quite a bit. This is on one of the Facebook forums as well. According to DBD team, camping and tunneling is a valid strategy. How messed up is this? What do you say about that, man? It's like it's so painfully obvious when you see a take that is so just one-sided, right? Like this is a survivor main. This is a survivor main through and through. Like these are simple strategies. This game has been out for 8 years. Like almost 8 years. Camping and tunneling is a strategy that is very similar to gen rushing, body blocking. Like they're the same things. They are the same things. They are strategies. Just because a killer is camping close to hook, like, you know, it's an intelligent decision sometimes. Same with tunneling. It's just an intelligent decision. Depending on when and where you make that decision, right? Like sometimes it's just appropriate to do. And effective as well. Same with sabotaging, same with going for flashlight saves, same with, you know, and I really hope that we can get to a point in the DBD community where the majority of players like recognize it as a strategy, or at least the majority of survivor players recognize it as just a strategy, you know, and stop trying to like make it so personal and stuff like that, because it's really painful. It's really painful. But a lot of these players, they just refuse to play the other side, and then they just spread hate and spread hate and spread hate. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's illogical, and it's just not healthy. So yeah, there's not really much else to say about that. Here's another one. With the new killer having 4 abilities, it had me thinking, what if the survivors got an add-on that allowed you to take up both add-on spots with 1 more perk? So you get 1 more perk, and the drawback is no add-ons. I think that's pretty fair. What do you guys think? I think like this would be like maybe okay if you could only run like weak perks, you know, like something like fixated, or I don't know. But the sad reality is that you would just see something strong. It would just be like a survivor running Windows, adrenaline, resilience, Unbreakable, and then DS, right? Like they'd have like 5 really strong perks, and then you would see rather than like 16 meta perks with some lobbies, you would see 20. You would see 20 meta perks with the Killer's 4, right? Like, come on. No, this would be a very, very unhealthy thing for the game. In reality, even just the fact that survivors can have 16 meta perks going against the Killer's 4 and then bring like 4 brand new parts, 4 toolboxes, and like gen rush builds and stuff like that. No, this would be really unhealthy. Swifts would absolutely abuse this. It would be disgusting. It would be like, it wouldn't be too much of a problem in like lower MMR, but then you get into higher MMR and it would literally be like 20 of the strongest perks in the game versus like the Killer's 4, and even like Nurses and Blights would just have an absolute miserable time. So yeah, I mean, that would be ridiculous. Even if they also gave it to the Killer as well, like the Killer could like swap add-ons for a 5th perk, like it would still be very catered to Swifts, and Swifts would just abuse the ever-living shit out of it. So yeah, no, I would be terrified to see that in the game for sure. Oh god. And all right, there you have it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. If you would like to see another episode of Hot Takes, please let me know. I do really enjoy making these videos, and my aim is always to help the players and to educate people so that we can have a healthier community and a more positive community as well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Shouts out to Amy again for all of these, sending me all these takes. And be sure to follow me on Twitch. I go live 4 or 5 times a week, and would love to see you guys over there. So take care, and spread the love, and be kind to your fellow player. Peace out.